Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. Hello. I'm not sure when you're listening to this, but you are listening to the Portsmouth Proud podcast. I'm your host, E. Washington, the Public Information Officer for the Portsmouth Police Department. We serve a community that's not too far from the ocean, not too far from the bay, right on the river. And we are producing this police podcast for you. So you know what's happening in your city. You know the plan, and you know how you can be a part of it.
This is episode 12 of the Portsmouth Proud podcast, and we have a wonderful guest with us today, Mr. Mark Palamarchuck. He is the Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Portsmouth. So thank you so much, Mr. Palamarchuck, for meeting with us today.
Happy to do it. Thanks for having me, Alexia.
So before we talk about Parks and Rec, could you give us a little bit of your background? How long have you been, or are you a Portsmouth native?
I'm not a Portsmouth native,
Okay.
but my wife and I bought a house here in 2007, so we've
Okay.
been here ever since then.
Okay, where are you originally from?
Originally, I was born in Texas, moved back to Pennsylvania when I was 14, where my
Okay.
parents are originally from, and then stayed up there until we moved down here to Virginia.
Okay, cool. So have you been with Parks and Rec since 2007?
I was with Newport News Parks and Recreation at first.
Okay.
We actually moved down here in 2004. I worked there for about 10 years and then came here in 2014.
Okay, so it seems like your background is in Parks and Recreation. So what did you major in, like tourism, or what did you major in college?
So when I was in college, initially I was going for a health and physical education teacher.
Okay.
Decided that really wasn't what I wanted to do. My college is actually able to offer a Parks and Recreation degree, so my degree is in Parks and Recreation
Okay.
Administration.
Okay. So what led you, okay, so you went from wanting to be a a PE teacher, physical
Right.
fitness, or what is it?
Yeah.
Physical education, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Lost my train of thought. Physical education, to making that switch to Parks and Recreation. What was it about Parks and Recreation that interested you?
So the fields are similar, in a lot of regards, but I thought, dealing with Parks and Recreation, I get to see a lot more community folks, get to impact ages, of all ages, not just, youth in schools. So I'm able to connect with youth, the teens, the adults, the older adults. So it seemed like it would be more fulfilling. It wouldn't be such a pigeonhole of a career.
Okay, so now you're the director, and when did you become the director?
I became director in 2018.
Okay, so what is like the career path in Parks and Recreation? How do you enter in? Like, what is the role that you would enter into this field?
Well, speaking for the municipal government side of it, let's say, that's where a lot of my experience was. You have to put your applications out there, see which one of these recreation jobs fits you the best.
Okay.
I started out with a school age program, so I had the physical education piece behind me. School age program is like before and after school care.
Right.
So that was kind of an easy fit. And then from there, you really have to do your own work to learn more about the recreation field.
Okay.
Most places aren't going to be like, yeah, okay, you're doing great here. Let's go learn about aquatics. Let's go learn about, park maintenance. You really have to do that on your own.
Oh, okay.
So that's something I just, I was always interested in. Any chance I had to learn something new, I was all for it.
Do you have a favorite area within Parks and Rec that you really enjoyed learning about?
I would say probably outdoor programming would be my favorite. I enjoy being outdoors. I enjoy sharing that passion with other people.
Okay.
Especially, it's funny being in a more urban environment. A lot of people, especially nowadays, they don't get out enough. They don't get outdoors enough.
No.
So that's something
inside.
Yes. That's something
Playing
I'd like to share with people and show them. It's a whole other world outside that door.
So I know with the police department, I think we're partnering with you all on the bike rides through the community.
Yes.
So that's outside, getting people outside. What are your primary responsibilities within your department?
Parks and Recreation has always been a catch-all. So you get into these cities and they don't know where to put a certain aspect of government services. A lot of times it'll fall to Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
So, of course, we do the traditional things. We run recreation centers. We run senior centers. We have summer camps.
Okay.
We have pools and aquatic programming. But we also take care of pretty much all of the city-owned buildings, like grass and shrubs and trees.
Oh.
We take care of the city cemeteries. We do most of the special events, especially the large-scale special events.
Okay.
And then we have a lot of partnering organizations that we deal with for instructional programming for some of our youth, and then also for Virginia Cooperative Extension. That also falls under us.
Okay. So you said that you were also over the senior centers. I don't know why, but I didn't realize that you're over. How many senior centers do we have? So
we only have one dedicated senior center. It's
okay.
a senior station. However, we have senior programming at all of the rec centers.
Okay. How does your department collaborate with the police department? Like we just mentioned, like the bike rides through the community. Are there other ways that your department collaborates with the police department?
We do a lot, actually. One of the larger ones, one that actually is coming up next week, is National Night Out.
Okay, yes.
That is a very large scale event that our events team and myself work with the police department to produce.
Right.
Yes.
So I know National Night Out is, I believe it's next Tuesday actually, is August 6th.
Correct.
And that's at Festival Park. And so in that role, like what does your role look like in planning that event or assisting in that event?
So a lot of times, since we deal with a lot of events, we bring our expertise when it comes to logistics,
okay.
How to lay out the event, make sure that we have all of the things that we need to have a successful event, not just the personnel, but any equipment, any supplies,
okay.
kind of help with the itinerary of how the event's going to flow,
okay.
And give suggestions there.
So how many, what is the how many staff members does Parks and Rec have in the city of Portsmouth?
All totaled, we're about 75, I think, full-time right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Another 150 or so part-time.
Okay.
And then probably another 50 or so temps.
Now, does the part-time help during the summer, or are they part-time is year-round?
Part-time is year-round.
Okay.
We hire more during the summer to help out with summer camps
mm-hmm.
and aquatics, but even at the recreation centers during the school year, we have them helping with that.
Okay. And then I think, at least when I was here with the city, in 2017, Parks and Rec was also over the free, the breakfast program that happens. Mm-hmm. Is that still what happens in the summer?
Yes.
With summer camps, and I don't know if you still partner with the Housing Authority to offer those things there as well.
Yes, so we do operate the USDA summer program,
yes.
So it's free breakfast and lunch for the kids in the summer camps, and actually we're up to about 43 sites right now, I think.
Oh, wow.
That we're 43. Supplying those.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
that's great, because a lot of kids, they're not food secure during the summer, so yes. It's very helpful that you all carry out that program. So, what safety measures are currently in place with the city's park and recreation centers? So
the biggest one is always going to be personnel.
Okay.
Personnel is going to be, they're there, they're on site, they're working to help, clean up or provide programming. Their eyes and their ears are the number one thing that we rely on.
Okay.
Outside of that, we do have security cameras at a lot of our locations, which it's good usually for after an incident occurs.
Right.
The personnel are there hopefully to prevent the incident from occurring.
Okay. Do you all have I know some cities deal with vandalism in their parks or even in their cemeteries. I had someone mention that there might have been some graffiti on some of the headstones. How do you handle those situations?
So usually we're going in there with our parks maintenance staff and cleaning up after the fact.
Okay.
We do experience some vandalism. We experience some other issues in some of the parks, and some of the other areas that we operate. And we do our best to post signage, do our best to place people where we think they can be visible. But in the end, you're not going to stop everything.
Right. That's true. Well, I think this is the perfect place to take our first community break, and we'll return back with the director of the city's Park and Recreation Department, Mr. Mark Palamarchuck.
Are you considering a career in law enforcement? Sign on today as a Portsmouth police officer and receive up to $1,500 if you're already Virginia certified. We offer a $1,000 allowance for a bachelor's degree and a $500 allowance for an associate's degree on top of your base pay. Officers can also earn additional income on time spent in court and at community events. Visit our website at portsmouthpd.us for more information on how to apply.
National Night Out will be here before you know it, so mark your calendars for Tuesday, August 6th, and join us at Festival Park for the ultimate community gathering. That's August 6th from 3 to 8 p.m. at Festival Park. See you at National Night Out. So we are back with the Director of Parks and Rec for the City of Portsmouth, Mr. Mark Palamarchuck. We talked a little bit about like just safety within the parks, but then you had mentioned at the beginning trying to get people outside, because in this day and age, we like being inside, the comforts of home. So what are some of the ways that your department engages with the community to increase or to promote park usage?
So we're lucky enough that a lot of people know about, of course, City Park here in Portsmouth. It's our large-scale park.
It's a really nice park too.
Yes, but we also have roughly 40 neighborhood parks throughout the city.
Okay.
So we deal with the civic leagues a lot, making sure they're aware of the amenities each one has.
Okay.
We mail out our program community guide that goes out to every resident, and now I'll have a list of the parks and recreation facilities in there and what each one has as well.
Does that go out annually?
It goes out quarterly.
Quarterly. Okay.
Yes. And then in addition, we work with a lot of youth groups, school groups, and assist them whenever they're trying to make plans to come out to the park for field trips and things like that. Make sure that they're aware of everything that's needed to make sure that their event is successful.
Okay, so it's basically like community canvassing, sending out the marketing materials, let them know. Do you ever come across like civic league leaders that are surprised that they have a park, or surprised about the different things that are going on in the community?
More often than I like, actually, yes.
Oh, okay, because
yes.
I'm like, well, how do you not know you have a park in your...
Some people just, they don't get out enough. You can mail home the program guide, but you can't make them read it.
Right, that's true.
So, we also try with social media. But word of mouth is one of the better things. That's why we get out and go to these civic league meetings, and we go out to these community groups and try to be that face and let them know, one-on-one or one versus a group, like, this is what we have to offer. Like, Portsmouth has a lot to offer.
Well, yes, for our square mileage of our city is not that large, but you said that we have 43 neighborhood parks. That's a lot of parks. Now, when you said programming, are there programs offered? Do you do different things at those different sites? And then what are some examples of things that you might do at a neighborhood park?
Yes, so different neighborhood parks will have different amenities. So we just renovated Bernard Griffin Park not long ago.
Okay.
Had a basketball court put out there along with new playground, picnic shelters, that type of thing. So working with the Civic League, they've had a few basketball tournaments. Mm-hmm. They've had some community days out there. And we might assist them and have assisted them with providing different recreational opportunities for those events, helping them lead activities, getting recreational supplies out there so they can, do their own thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are if you were a part of your civic league, you would plan an event, and then you all would come and support them in executing that event. Or I know you have to register or get permits or permission to use the sites for public things, but are you you come alongside those civic leagues to make sure their event is successful? How does that?
Some of the times, all depends on what the civic league wants.
Okay.
Sometimes they want to run their own event.
Okay.
So we just make sure they go through the application process. They know the do's and don'ts.
Okay.
And make sure we're available for any questions they might have.
Okay.
You have other civic leagues who want more of a partnership for event. So we've done that as well.
Okay.
Just, try to work with what the civic league really needs.
And you can get the application online?
Yes, if they go to portsmouthparks.com, our special event application is on there.
Okay, portsmouthpark.com. What are some of the challenges to creating a welcoming space? So, like, you have to a park is designed. So, what are the challenges to maybe you have a park that is a part of a historic neighborhood, but making it up to date for current families to use it? Right.
So the main thing we look for is balance. Okay. Right. You don't want too much of any one thing.
Okay.
People have different interests. You want them all be able to come out to the parks and enjoy the space. So you might have some quiet areas with benches under some trees around a garden area. You might have an active playground area as well, possibly a baseball or athletic field at one of the parks. So you try to do that as best you can to offer to the broadest audience that we can.
Okay.
When it comes to historic districts, of course, we have to follow the historic guidelines.
Oh, okay.
If we're going in and renovating, there are strict guidelines that we have to follow.
I know that applied to the parks as well. Okay.
To most things. The one thing it does not apply to is playgrounds.
Okay.
Luckily.
Well, yeah.
Which makes
no
sense.
more metal slides.
Yes, yes.
Good. Okay. So, in that planning, you said making it as broad as possible. Are you looking at demographics of a neighborhood to decide, hey, this neighborhood actually has younger children in it, so they need a top playground, or this one has, does the demographics of the neighborhood come into play in designing your park?
Absolutely it does, yes.
Okay.
And it really comes into play if we can renovate a park, right? You know, some parks that have been there forever, they have the amenities that are there. We might not have the budget to go in and do every single park, but as we're going through these parks and renovating them, we talk to the civic leagues, we talk to the youth groups, we ask them for feedback.
Okay.
We don't ever like to assume that we know what they want in their space. An example of that would be City Park. We're currently going through a master plan process for that.
Okay.
The biggest part of that plan is getting community feedback.
Okay.
If we don't get the feedback, then we're stuck until we can get to a certain threshold of how much response that we need.
So what initiates that? What initiates a park coming up for review for a master plan or for a renovation?
Usually it's through the budget process.
Okay.
We'll identify areas that need it. City council might identify areas that they'd like to see. Sometimes it's citizens coming to speak at a council meeting saying, look, we need this is run down, or this needs to be repaired. So we kind of take it all into account and figure it out through the budget process what the priority levels are.
Okay. So it can be city council initiated, residents coming in and making note, or your employees just seeing like there's things that need to be done.
Yes.
And that's what goes and initiates that process. Can you would you be able to walk us through what you said, I think a master plan, what that process would be? So say City Hall says we want to renovate one of the 43 neighborhood parks. From there, what does that look like?
So usually it's engaging with the community in various ways.
Okay.
Public meetings, social media, through flyers and surveys, through just visiting them where they're at, maybe canvassing citizens when they're at events and just really picking their brain to see what that looks like.
Okay.
You get the responses back, and basically the citizens will tell you, yes, this is our top priority, second, third, fourth, on down the line.
Okay.
Then you kind of gauge that with what the budget looks like, and if there's additional grant funding that we could go for. So really it's a balance of what the needs and wants are with what we're able to truly offer.
Okay, and so obviously budget is going to dictate a lot of that, but it's a community consensus or coming to a decision based on the needs of the community, and the residents have input in what's going on within their community.
Absolutely.
Okay, I like that. So that means that you have to, as a resident, you have to participate. You have to go to city council meetings. You have to follow Parks and Rec on social media, and you have to actually complete the surveys so that they know what they want, or what you would like in your community. Are there any upcoming projects or initiatives? I know you said City Park is going through. Are there any other parks that are going through some renovations?
So we are currently in the process of renovating Jefferson and 8th Park, which is it's a neighborhood park, but it's a little bit larger of a neighborhood park. So that's around the South Side neighborhood.
Okay.
That is in progress right now. Upcoming after that will be Maplewood Park,
Okay.
which is off of Portsmouth Boulevard next to the Olympian Sports Club.
Okay.
And then we're also in the process of renovating Charles Pete Little League, which is on Elliott Avenue.
And all this is happening 2024, or is this what is the time span on this?
Some of it will be phased in. A lot of it is going on now. So Jefferson and 8th, for example, we're actually in the construction phase. Whereas Charles Pete Little League, we're still in the design phase.
Okay.
Hoping to break ground here for that one probably in say 3 to 4 months.
So the design phase, is that in-house or is that an external company that would come and design it?
We work with external companies, and we also work with our engineering department.
Okay.
They are, the technical experts for the city, so we rely on them a lot for when we go through these renovations.
Okay. Well, it is time for our second community break, and when we return, we will hear some final thoughts from the Director of Parks and Rec, Mr. Mark Palamarchuck.
Are you considering a career in law enforcement? Sign on today as a Portsmouth police officer and receive up to $1,500 if you're already Virginia certified. We offer a $1,000 allowance for a bachelor's degree and a $500 allowance for an associate's degree on top of your base pay. Officers can also earn additional income on time spent in court and at community events. Visit our website at portsmouthpd.us for more information on how to apply.
National Night Out will be here before you know it, so mark your calendars for Tuesday, August 6th, and join us at Festival Park for the ultimate community gathering. That's August 6th from 3 to 8 p.m. at Festival Park. See you at National Night Out.
We're back with Mr. Mark Palamarchuck. He's the Director of Parks and Rec for the city of Portsmouth. So this is a police podcast. So I do have just a few questions, maybe one or two questions actually, just to get your feedback or your thoughts on how does a healthy Parks and Rec program or department impact crime reduction?
There are plenty of studies out there, scientifically done studies, that show that if you have recreational areas, if you have good, well-maintained parks, you are more than likely going to have an impact on reducing crime.
Okay.
You're giving citizens something positive to do versus them feeling they have nothing to do and finding their own outlet.
Right.
Which a lot of times will turn negative. Right.
Correct.
So,
yes.
We have seen great upticks in participation at parks after renovations. We have talked to civic leagues and the police department about crime rates in those areas just to see if it did make an impact.
Okay.
And more often than not, it has.
Okay. So I know, through the city or throughout the city, there used to be more things that happened later at night, and I know that they brought back some basketball that happened at night. Do those programs? Does Park and Rec intend to increase evening programs for? I think it's a little bit beyond just children, because they're 19, 20, I think it's to 24. Right. Do you plan to increase those programs in the city?
We are, actually. So the one you're speaking of, I believe, is the Nighthawk basketball program. So that operates at various recreation centers on the weekends. Again, it's for 18 and up, usually 18 to 30 would be our cutoff.
Okay.
To give the younger adults something positive to do in the evening time.
Okay.
And it has been wildly popular.
Okay.
Starting out, we didn't know what to expect necessarily, but we're getting 40, 50, 60 guys and ladies out there playing basketball every weekend.
So that is happening every weekend, because I heard about it a little bit in the spring. I know some people that attended, but then I didn't follow up to see. So that's happening every weekend. And when does it start? What time?
It starts at 9 p.m.
Okay.
And it will go until 1 a.m.
That's late. I'm too old for that.
It is.
I need to go sleep. Okay. So I will just hear about it. What's happening? Okay, I'm glad that you said that, because you hear about community policing, and we've been talking about community policing on the podcast, and how it's not crime reduction or crime prevention isn't just a police department issue. It's something that will only be accomplished if all the agencies, all the players within the community, the government agencies, as well as the residents working together to create solutions to help. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. For someone who is interested in a career in Parks and Recreation, Do you have any insights or any advice that you would give someone?
The best thing I could tell you is to gain experience. Start young. If you can, start young. Start volunteering. If you can't find a job, if you can find a job, apply, whether it be at a recreation center, helping us with our summer camps, helping with our park maintenance side. We have plenty of jobs out there just here in the city that I know of that are good starting level jobs for people to get their foot in the door.
Okay. So start getting experience. Start early.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, sir, for taking the time to sit with us today. And we just want to thank its Director of Parks and Rec, Mr. Mark Palamarchuck. And I want to say thank you for listening. Remember that this is your city, this is our city, so let's work together to make it great.